Welcome back, team. Let us start with initial step of House of Quality QFD diagram. So before starting the activity, it is very important that you people decide about some XYZ product, service or a process. It should be a specific product or a service or process. For the new starters, it is very important that you select most appropriate one that you can understand better. So my suggestion is it is better for you people to select a product because it is very easy for understanding about the customer and the expectations of the customers and functional requirements of the product. So let us start selecting a product. If it is a service, then also it is easy, but for initial starters it is better if you select a product. So think about a product and plan it. After completing selection of the product, identify a customer who will be using that product and try to identify, brainstorm and create several number of expectations, needs or wants of the customer with respect to the product that is given. It can be anything: the cost of the product, luxury that it can be created out of it, the style, maybe some basic actual need. So it can be anything, like whatever the expectations that customer have on the product selected. For example, if you take a mobile phone, the customer expectations can be a large screen, better brightness, handy, cost of the phone, high definition videos. So like this, there will be several requirements customer will be having. If you come, like if you look at technical requirements, high speed, speed of accessing and quality of the image. So there will be a lot of requirements that a customer will have when selecting a product. Okay, after completing at least, I want you to write at least 20 requirements that customer have in the product. Then select house. For example, if the customer is having a requirement of high speed, we need to provide a better RAM for the mobile device. So maybe if the RAM size is 2 GB, it will be slow and like comparatively slow. When the RAM size is 6 GB or 8 GB, the mobile device will comparatively speed when compared to other phones. High speed, like it will be having a high speed processing. Okay, so based on that, like if the expectation is speed, we speak about the RAM size is the factor that will be creating speed. Otherwise you can say that processing time. So functional requirement is processing time and speed is the expectation. So based on the processing time, the speed will be achieved by the customer, like experienced by the customer. Maybe buffering time, you can say that to at what speed video got buffered. So that can be your functional requirement. Based on the buffering speed, you can say that this achieved. So there will be different types of functional requirements that creates actual one particular expectation of the customer. Okay, so create at least a 20 of functional requirements or technical requirements, whatever you say. I will simply say that house, HOW, how you are going to achieve customer expectations. What means what customer is expecting, how means how that what can be achieved by the designer. Okay, so this is how we create these things. Then we try to establish relationship between functional requirements and relationship between customer requirements and functional requirements. Okay, so to make it simple, the relationship between house and the relationship between watts and watts. As I told you in the maybe introductory slide, we need to no, maybe need for assessment, need for quality functional house of quality analysis. We need to understand the relationship between house, because see, there will be different functional requirements that we will be establishing for the organization. So for the for the purpose of implementing a product, if you understand the relationship between two functional requirements, whether they are positively related or negatively related, we can identify how to balance those things. For example, I clearly explained in the last session, I guess. So when we are using, like for example, for x factor, for speed factor, if it says that we need to increase buffering speed or we need to increase processing speed, these are two different things. So to improve buffering speed, we need to work on internet related technologies, improvising internet related technologies. For increasing processing speed, we need to improve RAM. Okay, so RAM or microprocessor. So these are two different things. If you have a buffering speed, internet related thing, right? So mostly people will be watching videos on internet, right? So what happens is, to improve that, you need to improvise the how internet can be connected, mobile device, and maybe 3G related or 4G related technologies that are included in the board of the mobile can be improvised. Okay, it costs low when compared to improvising microprocessor or improvising the other thing, RAM size. Okay, so we need to establish properly. If we establish there is a positive relationship between these two things, we need to include both the things. If there is a negative relationship between these two things, what we should do, maybe we might be we try to balance these two things. Okay, so if we increase RAM size, the cost will increase. If you are relating relationship between cost and RAM. Okay, so when the cost is increased, RAM will increase. When the cost is decreased, RAM size will decrease. There is a positive relationship between these two things. So if you want to keep cost low, so definitely you should keep RAM low. So this is how you should, you will be evaluating house. Okay, next one is brainstorming the relationship between what and house. So for example, we have a list of functional requirements, and all these list of functional requirements can have impact on achieving customer expectation. Okay, so we need to identify to what extent those functional requirements can satisfy or resolve customer expectation. So for example, one functional requirement can have high impact on achieving customer expectation, and one functional requirement can have least importance in achieving the expectation. So we need to understand what is the we need to basically understand how this can be impacting, how this functional requirement can be impacting our customer requirements. Okay, so these are some basic requirements, basic analysis kind of thing. I guess if people have analyzed it already, so if not, try to do that in a proper way. Okay, you need to brainstorm about it. All right, chalo, I will be starting with the explanation of parts of house of quality and basic design related thing in the next video. Okay guys, thank you.